Alrighty. Can you guys hear me? We got some comments in the chat already. Amazing. We've already got some likes. You guys already know the drill. Amazing. As we said yesterday, Dom would be proud. I haven't even liked the video yet. Gosh, I'm behind. Let me get on here myself. There we go. Good. Andrew says we can hear me. Awesome. Yeah, just me today, guys. I think this is my first Good Morning NASDAQ all by myself. Huddy, obviously you can see I'm still in the apartment / Airbnb that me and Huddy were in, but he has left for the airport, and I am soon to leave this place as well. So yeah, it's been a good week. It's been fun seeing him, visit him, having a good time, but obviously trading's been a bit slow. Hasn't been too eventful, but as always, we will jump in and go over whatever gappers are out there that exist. Yeah, let's get into it. I kind of, let's be honest, I took a little sneak peek. I decided to actually look at what was out there, and it looks a little bleak. I'm gonna be honest. Let me share my screen to get us started here. I want to share that one. All right, here we go. So yeah, I had OLTK up just because they had bad news. They had some bad news about, I think, one of their trials or something. It didn't really read off negatively, but clearly the chart and the reaction said differently. We're down 63%. That's lovely. That's the opposite kind of gapper that we usually look for in Good Morning NASDAQ, right? But number one on my scanner, we got PBLA. Let's take a look at PBLA. Let's see what we got going on here. And then we pull it up here, PBLA. So what are we up? 75%, $1.40 stock. Before I even look at the news, I want to look at the daily chart. So quite a lot of bit of nothing for the last, call it, what is this, all the way up till 3 or 4 months. Some gap downs, but on no volume. So some negative news, but obviously this stock is just not traded a whole lot of volume on a lot of days, which is typical of small caps we trade. Again, we've had a couple of gap and crabs here. We've had an attempted small spike there, didn't go anywhere, and another, spike and then crap here. Although it also says it was up as high as $200. I don't know if that's true. Although, granted, it could have been. It could have just IPO'd at the same price, spiked, and then just died. But something tells me either either the stock dwindled immensely quickly, or they have done a reverse split. Again, I cannot confirm nor deny that. I haven't done enough research in the background. But if we look at the news here, let's see why this thing's up in the first place. Let's go back to the intraday. Okay. Fairly liquid. We were traded what? How many shares? 7 million on the day in pre-market so far. Let's see. Panella announces public. Let's see here. Let's pull up the news so you guys can read it with me. Panella announces public of preclinical and clinical data titled Inhibition of Polyamine Biothesis Preserves. Part of my reading, guys. My reading has never been a strong suit, especially when you come into words I do not understand. In the pharmaceutical industry, I'm sure my girlfriend could read this better than I could. Being that she's a nurse, not that she's she is a better reader than me. But she knows probably some of these words. Phase 1 study showed that DFMO treatment may provide metabolic benefits. Okay, so positive PR, positive little clinical data. That's amazing. Good for them. Awesome. Let's talk about the float here. What are we dealing with the float? Let's see. Float is, at least on my stock to trade, if it wouldn't stop lagging for me here. Let's do Yahoo Finance instead then. It's probably a better option. One thing I do need to get, and I know I have access to it, just haven't been lazy. I've been too lazy to sign up for an account, is Get Pollution Tracker. I know Dom uses it, and I know you guys appreciate it. It's definitely very easy to do for dilution-wise. But let's see, PBLA. What are we dealing with on the float here? Flow Checker 2 is a good resource, but I don't know why I always like going to Yahoo Finance first. Statistics. Float right here, 2.7 million. So we got a low floater on our hands. Let's just triple check that with float checker. I was like doing this just to make sure. And yeah, the chat saying 3 mil float. Site is currently undergoing maintenance. Float checker, you're letting us down. Wow. Well. Oh well. All right. Anyway, I think we agreed 3 million float. So on the lower end, you know, I believe either Huddy or Dom and their gapper strategy that they're testing out would be interested in possibly shorting this. Again, I haven't looked into dilution. I mean, I could show you a very brief way I would. You know, if for those who don't have dilution tracker, like myself, at the moment, what would I be doing if I wanted to? I would go to BAM SEC. I would type in the ticker. We want what? PBLA. All right, recent S1 already tells me that right there. So I like going down to prospectuses and registrations, right? This is where you're going to see any and most of the dilution. So what, back in June 20th, we have a 424B4. Okay, 2.2 million shares of common stock. We have of A common warrants, B common warrants, pre-funded warrants, up to 6.8 million shares total. Okay, lovely. Now, does it say a price? Let's find a price. Offering price, $375. Okay, pre-funded warrants, 374.9. So they're up in the threes, if I'm not mistaken. Keep scrolling down just to check me not missing anything. I think I do this pretty quickly just for time's sake, but again, you just want to briefly breeze through. Most of this is all just, there we go. I want to see this. Pre-funded warrants offered by, yeah, $375 a share as well there. Okay, $375. Yep. So they're at $375. Considering this is only at $130, I doubt it actually gets there. Again, it is a little float that you never know, but we are already up 65%. What, 375 is all the way up here into this kind of gap range where it kind of came off on bad news. So again, is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? Probably not. But again, does that mean it has to go to where the warrants are to be able to gap and crap itself? No. They, you know, as you've seen many gap and craps, especially in October, there were many low float, not as dilutive gappers that we saw, and they actually dumped and cracked themselves very easily, right? That's definitely the trend we're seeing, especially in this slower market where there's not a lot of follow through. A lot of these gappers are just kind of losing any follow through they could potentially have and just sell off. Now, granted, will I be shorting it? Probably not. Again, I've had a pretty tough week. I tried a gap and crapper CLLS yesterday. Didn't work out too well for me. Now, granted, I probably should be, if I want to really let the edge play out, I should probably try this one too. But nonetheless, you know, we'll have to see what the borrow situation is like. I have no idea how expensive they are. And so for now, I'm going to assume I really and rather not touch it. Okay? So let's keep going on. Let's look at our next gapper. Again, unfortunately, I did do a sneak peek, and it doesn't look too bright on for our hands. If my scanner will load for us, that's the worst part, is that this thing just is like frozen in time. Also, speaking of which, how's the like ratio going? How are we looking on the likes? I gotta bring out my inner Dom. Oh wow, 42? Yeah, you guys are keeping it up. You guys know when Dom's gone, you guys know the drill. So I appreciate that. Because I'm not as clever as how Dom Dom is very clever when it comes to getting you guys to hit the like button here. So yeah, my scanner is, wow, this is, maybe it's because I'm just running too many softwares. It just completely died on me, which is never fun. If you guys have your own scanner that pops up that is working faster than mine is, feel free to put some tickers in the chat. We can happily go over them. But yeah, we are just like dead in the water. How fun. Maybe my other scanner. Let's see if this works up. Sorry about that, everybody. Usually my scanner works when I'm not running a stream, but I think it's having difficulty today. But let's see. Getting chat saying OLTI or OLIT. Let's check that one out. Okay, 45%, pretty illiquid looking on an intraday chart and or in pre-market here. We're once up to in the 20s, 24, 25 on a few prints, and now we're down at about 15ish, high 14s to be specific. This immediately from the daily chart is a D-SPAC, or is a SPAC potentially coming into a real company. The reason why I know that is because it is traded straight at $10 and doing nothing. That is what SPACs do. And then once they become an actual ticker, or at least have news or predisposed or pre-advanced news of them becoming a ticker, right? It eventually ends up becoming a stock that actually trades, which is why it's actually now at 14 and not 10. Let's look at the news. Again, let's do the same thing because my lovely scanner is freezing. Let's go back to Yahoo Finance, our good old loyal Yahoo Finance here. We want OLTK, not OLTK, OLIT. Getting my tickers all mixed up here. Scrolling down. Let's see, what's the news here? 2 days ago? Approved of, Syntec Optics merger. So this acquisition corp, which again is the SPAC, Omlit Acquisition Corp, has been approved, or the shareholders have approved to acquire or to merge with Syntec Optics. So that's probably it. I'm sure they have maybe a potential date on it, which maybe if it's today, that makes sense. The merger is slowly kind of coming through here. 99% of the votes approved it. Okay, shareholders don't have a problem with that. And yeah, okay. So frankly, we've seen a lot of these in the past, not so much recently, but a lot of these usually have run in the past. I haven't personally seen a SPAC. Again, not that I've tracked them religiously, right? But from my recollection or from my rough memory, some of these will spike or just chop around. I don't think many of them really just crap themselves right away. Maybe they do. Over a course of weeks or months, some of them definitely fade much lower than $10. It's not like 10 is the absolute floor. It is when it's the SPAC, but once it becomes a real company, they can trade however low they want to go based on what the company or what the stock market values the company to be at, right? But if it is a low flow, which also I think we should check. Let's see here. We want to go back. Because if that's the case, then it definitely is more dangerous to be short, because it just, low floats are always more sketchy. We are up 44%. Float 1.3. Yeah, real low. Again, not something I'd really long, because again, I don't have stats or a setup really tracking around D-SPACs that become companies. But being such a low float, being that it's up, it's not something I'd be looking to short. But granted, does it technically fall under the quote-unquote gapper strategy that Huddy and Dom have been trading? Possibly. Actually, technically it's not. It's only up 43%. You want at least 50% gap up. So this would not be on their list, and certainly is not on mine either. But again, certainly something to keep it on watch for you, those who do like to long. If this thing holds itself up for the first hour or two, volume staying consistent, a spike or uptrend would not surprise me at all. So. But again, it is also a liquid pre-market here, so depending on how much volume it can bring in, that is definitely going to be a key factor. We also have, say, CLSS is gapping, really, again? 17%, nothing crazy, right? But it is actually gapping over where it closed, which is interesting. But yesterday it was pretty choppy for those who watched it. It looked good, right, for a gap and crap, but then it came back, and then it really chopped up in this range between like 250 and 290-ish all day. Now we're even up higher. So maybe we actually get a multi-day run out of this. That would be great if this holds with this pre-market lows of like $3 and yesterday's high of like 299, right? There's the kind of this support already forming-ish from yesterday's resistance. Would be nice to see a multi-day run. We haven't seen those in quite some time here, and by quite some time I mean at least a couple of weeks. We did see IBRX was a multi-day runner, but again, we're biased here. We want a multi-day runner that actually runs smoothly, and once it got to like this kind of topping action, it got very choppy. I made a joke yesterday in the Clover trading chat room, that I call this the Z pattern, right? I've never, not as if I have a Z pattern, right? I just call it for funny, because just this chart straight up, straight down, straight up, just a bouncing ball, choppy mess, which is not the style I like to see when I trade. So interesting. We'll have to keep a note on CLSS, see how that does in the coming days. People are also mentioning SIDU. Check that out. SIDU, recent, right? Went about an hour ago, a little less than an hour ago. Some news, up 42%, low-priced stock, only 13 cents. We have some gap and craps in the past. 13 cents, though, is not really something I look to short personally, so certainly wouldn't be something like that, just because the downside is limited in terms of range, as well as the 250 rule. For those who know what the 250 rule is, it definitely hinders your buying power for shorting lower-priced stocks. But yeah, I mean, just again, the typical bottom or top left to bottom right chart, just getting led away over and over and over. Plenty of days where there's been volume, so certainly today we'll probably have some decent volume. We already have 9.5 in the pre-market. As always, let's look at what we got dealing with the news-wise. SIDU. I believe, if I remember correctly, this was a low float when I traded it, or when I remember it being active early in the earlier months. But again, that's also when it wasn't dwindled down to a pulp of 13 cents. So the float could be bigger now. So Citus Space awarded a 5-year, $10 million ceiling commercial contract. Okay, that's good news. Contract winner. Nice. 10 million ceiling though, so all they're going to get is 10 million, and their market cap, I'm assuming, is very small. Let's go back real quick. Where's the market cap? Market cap is 7.5. So I mean, secondly, if they get all 10 million, they double the market cap. So that's pretty darn good, theoretically speaking. So it makes sense why it's up 40%. Maybe it tries to go up 100% just to make that, the rough basic math. I know it doesn't exactly work that way, but wouldn't surprise me if we look at statistics. Let's just check on the float. Probably could have done the math between market cap and the price, but 56 million. Okay, makes sense. Well, there you have it. I mean, contract winner. So it definitely is something that I would be more long bias than short bias. Is this something I'd play? Unfortunately, no. If you guys know my style, as much as I recognize potential long spots or places, doesn't necessarily mean I'm ever actually good at taking them or actually making money from them. And again, in this market, a lot of things have, even though may be good news, still crap themselves. And so it's just one of those uncertain areas where I don't know. But again, if you have a better strategy around these things or a better understanding, then go for it. But for me, this really does look like a possible no trading day. Maybe 1 or 2 trades max. But again, I've been doing that the last week or so, and it hasn't really worked out too well for me. So we're just in that kind of market environment. Anyways, the lectures just keep coming. You guys just know the drill. I don't even have to say anything. I don't have to be mean to you guys like Dom is. You guys just keeping it rolling. So anyways, we got 20 minutes to the market open here. Let's do a question or two, and then we'll close her out, unless there's any other tickers you want to ask as well. But sounds like that was it. Let's see. Yeah, what do you think about CLLS? Yeah, I mentioned earlier. I just think if it holds up. I mean, it's more of a hoping rather than anything else. If this can hold yesterday's highs of $2.99, which so far it is in pre-market, it is holding $3 pretty well here, and we get a multi-day run going. Maybe we spike to mid to low 3s today. Maybe then the next day on Friday we go to like high 3s to low 4s. Get a nice multi-day run out of it because we haven't gotten many like that. And then offer, again, it's going to be a good opportunity for longs if that happens. It'll then possibly be a good opportunity for shorts if that happens. And then that's what really gets the momentum going for small caps to really start running and be a more busier, opportunistic market. Because the last week or two, besides gap and crappers, there hasn't been much. Breakouts haven't been working. Any kind of strong fades haven't been too easy either. They've been quite choppy. So really, it's been a tough market in this time, which again is pretty typical of fall to late fall months as we head into winter, but sometimes it's been easier than others, and I would argue this has been a little bit tougher. So tough love. Dom is hard on us because he cares. Absolutely. I joke when he says mean. He's not actually mean. He just loves making different ways for you guys to get the hit like button. Management, is on his behind, but it's because he cares, right? This is his show, and he does a tremendous job of doing it. El Jefe has thoughts on IBRX. We've been talking about this the last few days, and like I said, I have pretty much, and I guess I put it more in towards when we talked about in the 4-leaf clover webinars and in my watch list, that I'm pretty much going to throw in the towel on this one. I've given it one try on Tuesday, was watching it closely yesterday on Wednesday, and ultimately it's too choppy, right? I see no other outcome today different than what it's done the last 2 days. Granted, I could be dead wrong, But when it chopped like this and just up and down, and then eventually closed a small green, as a short seller like myself, that is just not something that is going to be a profitable or give myself a good chance of even gaining a solid amount of money on a trip like this. It's more likely that I will lose money if I trade this. So for me, I'm going to avoid it. It's funny, I said this on Wine Wednesday last night when people asked about it. I said, if I want to go in today increasing my drawdown and losing again, I will go and look to trade IBRX today, right? Doesn't mean I can't make money from it, but the odds of how I trade and how this moves puts me in a position to significantly lose more money than ever actually make money. And so I am going to avoid this ticker 100%. So, what do you think about the recent FEMI bounce? Let's take a look. I know a couple days ago we were talking about it potentially happening. Okay, so a little bit of an uptrend off the low ones. That's nice. Still, unfortunately, no real good volume. I mean, we had this one day of almost 4.5 million. Never really got anything like it did when the run started. So, yeah, I could easily keep uptrending on lower volume. Again, I'm a volume trader. I need big volume to come in to kind of really have a better read on it. The more liquid it is, the less read I have on it. Just looking at the intraday here, I really have no idea. It's really only a couple of prints. If I want to, stick with the trend as my friend, right? This little silly saying. I mean, technically we're in a slight uptrend the last 3 or 4 days. So maybe we keep doing that. But other than that, I don't have a really good read on it. So let's see. Make more, doing less in this market. Same thing. We can keep the volatility going and maybe a day or two, then a slow week or so. Yeah, that's kind of the theme, right? And you get a hot week or a hot day or two, and then it goes right back to slow. And so when that happens, doing less is technically more. Keep more money in your pocket for times when times are hot and you're willing to put risk on. 100% agree. Kyle, October recap coming. So I did put a tweet out. I'm going to be pretty busy with traveling and just getting my schedule back together in the next 3 to 4 days. So the earliest I could possibly probably get one out is on Sunday. But I have no guarantees. I don't even know if that's possible. And if it's not on Sunday, then it would be in the middle of the month. But in the middle of the month, I'm also still traveling. So if I get it out, great. If not, expect it to be out at the end of November. I'll do a November recap and also add on October. We'll get like a 2-in-1. We'll just see. My schedule's being more busy than normal the next few days, and so I can't promise I get an October recap out on time. So it may be a month late, essentially what I'm getting at. WC here. We'll do 1 or 2 more questions. Any interest in BTC stocks like Mara and Riot? Great question, because BTC is quite hot. Mara gapping up slightly today, 4%, probably because BTC is also at I believe new highs, new 52-week highs. No, and this is always the same answer because again, I totally get where the interest comes from because it's like, oh, Bitcoin's going up, let's trade the Bitcoin related stocks. And unfortunately, most of the time, the Bitcoin related stocks don't offer as great of a correlation or as great of a volatility as Bitcoin itself does. I mean, gosh, Bitcoin's ran like a significant amount in the last, call it, week or two, and Mara is barely up from 8 to 9, right? And while Bitcoin has been kind of trading sideways and holding its gains, Mara had a gap up to 10 and then faded off for 4 or 5 days, and now we're back into the 9s. It's like, it's just not correlated enough for me to really feel confident about where and why they move. Granted, there is probably many traders who are more familiar with the crypto stocks than I am, but when I look at it, all I see is not enough correlation to the actual leader, which is Bitcoin itself. So yeah, I have no intention of touching them. The only way I could possibly see myself trading them is like with a swing trade, like trying to have them eventually follow behind Bitcoin. But on any one given day or hour, it's too tough for me to really know what's going on. So one last question here. Let's see, before I have to get back into the Clover trading chat room. Mason asks, what do you think of LIFW? Why is shorting prohibited? Great question. It probably depends on what broker you have, because I know Centerpoint here, I have pre-borrowed shares. This is the one trade I possibly think I will take today. So if your broker has prohibited it, then that's their own issue per se. LIFW here again, not a great run. I mean, pretty, 1 to 260, so it is extended, but it is over, call it 5 to 6 days, a little bit more choppier. But nonetheless, if you look at the previous history back here when it ran in, September, that's just how it is. That's the kind of top ticker it is. It does have a lot of wicks up to the upside and downside, but ultimately does kind of have a certain trend when it kind of gets put in place. And so I am looking for that first trend to the downside. Granted, again, I do think it might be a little bit choppy, a little bit wicky, but it is something I'm willing to take a smaller size on and possibly kind of try to catch a red day down to, say, maybe the low to mid twos here. 220, 230, maybe 210 would be nice. But we'll see. Again, it's nothing crazy. It's not something that's going to give me this huge win. It's really something that I just think is predictable to some degree, and I'll take small size on it. And we'll see about that. So that's pretty much, this is literally it. This will be my main watch today, essentially. But yeah, without further ado, guys, I am going to hop in the room, prepare for market open. Thanks so much. I appreciate the love. Already, 76 likes. We already, I think that's higher than average without even asking. Besides mentioning that Dom would be that. I'm like almost using Dom. Dom is here in spirit. Making sure you like the like button. But anyways, guys, make sure you subscribe as well. As always, if you want to check out the room, 7-day, $7 trial, in the link in the description below. We'd love to have you check it out, get through some of the archive webinars and archive video lessons to see if you guys like the community that is Clover Trading. And it is Thursday, so assume that tomorrow I will also be doing Good Morning NASDAQ. If not, I will mention out a tweet and on Instagram story if I can't, given my schedule. But assume for now it's on, and look out for if it's not. Anyways, guys, have a great day trading day, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.